Well, we're now at the beginning of our third hour and right in the middle of our cyberthon from 7 to 11 p.m. this Saturday night. And we decided to put this segment right in the middle because we wanted the highest viewership, highest attention. I'm excited to, at this point, share the Builder of the Year award with Dave and Alison, but also introduce you to them and to board president Joe Varner. One of the blessings I have as the executive director of the Foundation for Orphans is getting to meet incredible people across the United States and across the world. And these are three of the people who I've met because of my work with the Foundation for Orphans. So Joe Varner is pastor of United Methodist Church in Virginia Beach at Thalia United Methodist Church. David is the pastor of the First Sebring United Methodist Church in Sebring, Florida. Alison is his wife, on staff of the church, and a part-time teacher. So Joe, if you'll begin this part of the segment, we're excited to have all three of you on right now.
Thanks, Wayne, and thanks to David and Allison for taking this time to share with us a little bit about what this award means to you in being champions for the cause of orphans and vulnerable children. So I want to understand a little bit more about why this work is so important to you personally. Allison, can you share a little bit about why you've gotten involved with making sure that vulnerable children feel loved and cared for?
Yes, a very long time ago when I was 18 years old. It goes back to when I was watching a TV show, and the host of the show, her name was Annika Rice. She visited an orphanage in Romania. This was in the 80s. And I remember just being horrified at what I saw in those rooms. Babies, children, skin and bones. But what struck me more than anything was the silence. There was not a sound in a room full of children, which should have been loud and full of joy. And that was not there. And I guess that just stuck with me. And I knew that one day, I didn't know how it would happen, but I knew that one day I would be involved in orphan care. So that was my beginning. I didn't end up in Romania, but I ended up caring for orphans in other places of the world. And it is just a huge passion to mine. No child should be without parents, without somebody who loves them. Yeah, it's just very close to my heart.
Thanks. Thank you for sharing that and for responding to your experience. Sometimes that happens. We experience something extraordinary, something that can be so horrific, but how often do we actually do something about it? Mm-hmm. And when we recognize the suffering. So tell me just a little bit more about what you've done since then.
Too much. Well, we have adopted 3 children from China. I have visited orphanages and done mission trips to orphanages in China. We've worked in a children's home in the Bahamas. And our most recent project is building a project for orphans in China. Cut. Our most recent project is a building project in Tanzania, Africa. Would you like to explain a little more about that?
Yeah, I certainly can. And Wayne probably remembers this a bit better than I do when the actual introduction was made, but it's been at least 2 years ago. And Wayne and I were talking one day. He says, I met this guy that I think you really need to know. And it turned out to be the guy who actually translated his book, Who Will Care for the Orphan, into Portuguese. And it was the Reverend Fernando Matsimbe, who is originally from Mozambique. And it also turned out to be the most expensive introduction that I've ever experienced. Wayne says, you need to know this guy. And so we began to talk, and as I got to know Fernando, I learned that he is a United Methodist missionary serving in the Tanzania annual conference. And this guy is just a modern day Wesley. He is indefatigable, I think, is a great word for him. He can't be defeated. He can't be deterred. He never runs out of energy. He has got the most incredible God-sized vision for the children and for the people of Tanzania. And he shared with me that God had given him a vision to create a mission center, very much like Wesley's Foundry in London, a place where people with a variety of needs could come. I mean, obviously, our deepest need is to hear the gospel and to be in relationship with God through Christ. But we're very aware that people have physical needs as well. So whether they needed medicine, or they needed food, or they were orphans needing a family and a home, Fernando had a vision that this mission center could be that place where people could come. And so we started by purchasing the land. So our church raised the funds to purchase 15 acres of land right near the shores of Lake Victoria. And Fernando told us that the very first building that was going to be built on this 15 acres was going to be an orphanage. And so, obviously that captured our imaginations and lit a fire in us. And so we have been raising funds to complete that ever since. And they then told us that in consultation with their bishop, that they were going to call the mission center the Sebring Mwanza, because Mwanza is the closest town or city to the mission center. They were going to call it the Sebring Mwanza Mission Center, and that the orphanage was going to be called Alison's House of Hope, and in honor of my wife, who has a huge heart and passion for orphaned and vulnerable children. And so we're in the final stages as of today. The structure is complete, the roof is on, and as of today, and we fund a lot of this work through our communion offering, which is, in my opinion, an important part of our Methodist heritage and DNA that I think many pastors and churches have forgotten, that every time communion was celebrated in early Methodism, Wesley would always receive an offering for the poor, for those in need, or some special mission project. And so that's what we do. And so both the Mission Center and Alison's House of Hope have been largely funded through monthly communion offerings. So again, as of today, we have raised the $2,500 for all the electrical work to be done. So the last two things, as far as I'm aware, unless Fernando springs something else on me, which he probably will be the plumbing and the painting, and then it will need to be furnished. So this Alison's House of Hope will become a home and a school for 50 orphaned children, and we're just very excited about that. And all the land has already been planted in crops. The crops are being harvested, they're being sold at the local market. And so Fernando has a vision for, he just has this incredibly holistic Wesleyan vision and approach to ministry, that this mission center will ultimately become self-sustaining and, God willing, even profitable.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all that you both have done as individuals, as a couple, as members of the church, on behalf of orphans and vulnerable children. So Wayne, do you want to tell us a little more about this award?
Yeah, so this is the second year we've given out a Builder of the Year for the Foundation for Orphans. Last year we gave it to the Jesse Lee Memorial United Methodist Church in Ridgefield, Connecticut. They raised $100,000. They are the primary supporters and financial contributions for a house of children in Dando, Mozambique. And I was able to give that to them last year in person at our fundraiser. Of course, because of COVID, this year's fundraiser is online. That's why you're watching this remotely right now. I was in Sebring, Florida last week and gave the award to the Julianos in person. Unfortunately, the recording of the event did not work. So we're going to give it right now. in a virtual way. So I've got the award here in Connecticut, and I pass it on to you, David and Alison.
Wow. You open the box and, oh my, look what's in the box.
So it's clear, it's hard for us to see. Can you read it to our
Yes.
audience?
The F4O Builder of the Year 2020, David and Alison Juliano, thank you for your faithful service to Foundation for Orphans and Vulnerable Children Worldwide, presented October 10th, 2020.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And I wish we could have a piece of that recording, but just for the viewers to know, it was a very emotional event for me, and I hope for you. As I awarded in church, your attendance was about twice that morning as you had predicted. I think people knew you were getting the award, and you received a standing ovation. Very moving. Very moving.
Yes, it was.
Thank you so much. We're all going to share a toast to your achievements, and thank you for your service and continued blessings as you move forward.
Well, thank you
Thank
for your
you.
partnership and for what you do.
Yes, we're honored to be a part of it.